Hi everyone, back with another animated movie review, this time of Hotel Transylvania, blah blah blah. I don't say blah blah blah. This movie is an animated comedy from 2012 about how Dracula opens a hotel where monsters protect his daughter from humans, and it's a lot more comedic than other films I've already reviewed. And while I did review movies that have funny moments like The Incredibles, this is the first one that's really, I would say, going for laughs as its main purpose. So it's going to be harder to judge than some of the other films I reviewed thus far, since it's not trying for anything big or epic. But it still has some merits that I'm going to be talking about. As usual, we're going to start with the animation. The animation is somewhat standard for CGI animated films. It's not bad by any means, but it's not very breathtaking to look at. But at the same time, it's not trying to be. It's trying to have a nice comedic feel and has some nice cartoonish movements, especially with Dracula, that make it really fit in with its comedic tone. So it's hard to fault it there. Also, some designs of some of the monsters are interesting, with the Hydra, other minor characters we only see a bit of, and there's some other nice scenes like at Mavis's birthday party and Johnny has fireworks go off showing her all the places that she wants to go and he's been. Yeah, little moments like that, as well as some scenes of a flashback of how Dracula and his wife Martha met, make it a really nice to look at film. But overall, cartoonish but still decent. Nothing that's ugly or hard to look at. Now, on to the plot of the film. This movie isn't really trying for a big, great plot, and it does have a lot of typical plot lines, such as the overprotective father, the daughter growing up and having her first relationship, and yeah, it can be a bit predictable as to how it's going to happen, but at the same time, it still allows for more moments of comedy, which is where the film really shines. There are so many visual jokes and also situational ones that work. There's even a couple of good toilet humor jokes in this one, such as when Bigfoot has had a bathroom problem in his room, and then Jack is like, "It's okay, we all have bathroom troubles, Mr. Bigfoot." I mean, it's really funny, that joke, and just seeing how this movie made even what's usually some of the lowest form of comedy work. But at the same time, there's a lot of nice, soft, and quiet moments too when it's not trying to be really in your face, laugh at this, such as the parts when Drac reminiscing over his wife, or some of the other scenes of Johnny and Mavis bonding. But they're but these quiet scenes aren't a large focus in the film, and they often end with something comedic happening, sometimes with force, like Johnny might fall through a roof, or some comedic pratfalls, or a couple jokes at the end of the scene, which might undermine it just a little, but still funny, so I guess it's alright for the long run. On to characters. Dracula is a really protective father, and some people might find him unlikable for how he lies to Mavis, and yeah, it can be hard to root for him when he's being so deceptive, but at the same time, his intentions are pure and he means well. So it's understandable where he's coming from, and when you see more of his backstory, you really get a grasp of why he has this fear and hatred towards humans. And he has a great performance by Adam Sandler, who I haven't really seen many of his live action films, and I've heard that some of them I'm missing, some of them I'm really, really not by missing out on by skipping them. But I digress. Here, his voice really works well, and it is really fun to hear him put on that fake accent, and then those few moments when he does need to be serious work well. Mavis is another character that is your typical daughter that wants to see the world, and again, we have seen it before in other anime films, but here it's done decently too. We like how I like, I should say, how she is curious about the world and still apprehensive and upset over having her first experience go so badly, but still wanting to know more about it at the same time, and having a conflicted relationship with her father because of how much he's lied to her throughout the film. And her feelings with Johnny are really cute, and they really fit for the idea of first love and only love as this movie gets into, but I'll get to that later. The side characters are all funny, but they don't have a lot of time to really shine. Frank is probably my favorite of them. He's just so lovable, but a little slow. And his wife Eunice, of course, played by Fran Drescher, who I do enjoy in spite of her voice, really works for this movie as a really shrill voiced and henpecking wife, while Frank is just so slow but still really funny and good natured. Wayne is another one that is really funny to watch. And his kids and how he can't keep control of them. Murray the Mummy is also a funny one. Not as much for the others for me, but still a good character. My least favorite ones are Johnny and Quasimodo Wilson. Quasimodo because I find it more, and this could be total SJW coming from me, but I find it really pragmatic with the way a hunchback is handled in this movie. I mean, one, calling the monsters, and two, the actual villain of it. I mean, the hotel is closed to monsters, and previous films like Mad Monster Party also had the Hunchback of Notre Dame as a monster, but that was a Rankin Bass special from the 60s. This came out in 2012, so 40 years later, it has a lot less leeway, in my opinion. And especially with movies like the Disney version of Hunchback, it can be rather off-putting to have a disfigured person being seen as a villain. Well, not just the villain, but considered a monster instead of a human. But they could have gone into that, maybe making a reason to see that because he was scorned by humans, Quasimodo had a great hatred towards them, and he came across Dracula, who pitied him, and gone with that, but no, they didn't decide to go with that at all, which is a problem for me. Johnny, I find really annoying in some bits. I mean, the parts where he's with Mavis are really nice, but half the time he's geeking out. I mean, I love to see a character that's geeking out or unexcitable over things they like, but sometimes You don't have to have them talk and say a bunch of line that's going to be outdated. Instead of like, talk about awesome that it's killing it. And then he's always grumbling about how Dracula isn't letting him have any fun and is about to leave the hotel, but maybe it's convinces him to stay. Back, forth. And his obsession with his backpack can get to annoying up to a point which is elevated even further in the sequel, which, as I'm only talking about the first movie tonight, I will try to avoid going into. But let's just say he isn't a character that gets better for the second movie at all, which is a problem since I feel like the couple should lead. I'm sorry. The couple should have as much growth and development as Dracula does. Another problem I have with the film is the really unrealistic beliefs of love and you only sing once. 1 year later, Frozen would come out, and we had more realistic ideas of love, of no love at first sight. The first person you would be attracted to could not be the one that you wind up with. But here, this is just so dated, and they push it again farther into the sequel, which I'm trying not to get into, but they make it even worse, just like in this one. And that's hopefully from the trailers going to go away a little bit in the third movie, but from what I saw of Dracula's love interest, I really doubt, unless we go with another direction and real development for the character that's supposed to be the antagonist, which is spoiled in the trailer. But again, this is about the first movie, and I'm trying not to rant on it, but I like this movie, I really do. The humor works, the animation is fun, it has some nice characters, but one annoying character that we have to put up a lot with, a pragmatic villain, and some outdated themes do bring it down a little. But, like I said before, the humor makes up for it very much so. I laughed throughout a lot of this movie, so I think that it's worth reviewing. Don't expect anything groundbreaking or that can really change your opinions on animated films, like be a real Pixar or Studio Ghibli. No, don't expect anything like that. But if you expect a 90-minute cartoonish comedy, you should be reasonably diverted. So, fans of this movie, let me know what you hope for the third movie, and until then, I'll see you later. And of course, as always, leave an animated film you want me to review in the comments so I can add it to my list. Until then, see you later.